Hey everyone, today I'm going to do something a little different, and this is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I keep putting it off, and I had some questions about, how expensive is it to, well, not really how expensive, but more or less I want to cut stones, but I don't have a lot of money. Well, you don't need to have a lot of money to cut stones. You can cut them by hand without any power tools. And today, I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay? I find a stone and take it home and polish it and hope it shines, and also there's a chicken. Hey everyone, this is Clayton. Like I said, today I'm going to show you how to cut a stone by hand without any power tools and with minimal equipment. Okay? And you don't have to have fancy cabin machines like I have, or homemade cabin machines like I have, or expensive ones, $2,000 machines. You can cut these stones by hand. I mean, it's not as quick, but in some ways, I think it's even better than doing it with a machine. And this is a flat lap. Okay, this is your basic Amazon special flat lap. See, shiny. Okay. All right, this is I think it's a 350. Let me look. It says I have no quick flow. Oh, 240. 240. See? 240. Okay, this is a 240 grit flat lap. And you can get these for anywhere on Amazon around 15 bucks. I mean, these are not expensive flat laps. I mean, they're not exceptionally good flat laps, but they work. Okay? So, say you have your stone, and I didn't pick out a stone to cut. Bugger! Okay, I went and got a stone. And this is a stone out of a container of decorative rocks. This is your basic, pick it up at the craft store or Walmart. And this is some greenite because I felt like doing something green today. Alrighty, and this stuff is fairly soft. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I've been trying to figure it out for weeks, months, a couple years now. And we are going to cut this. Now let me get... Oh. Okay, this is something you're going to need too. Alright, this is craft foam from the craft store. You can get the stuff that's the 1/8-inch thick stuff. If you can get this stuff that's thicker, get that. Because you'll see why later on. But here, this works nicely to hold your flat lap down. Okay, and to be honest, if you don't have a flat lap, or don't have access to one, but you have a grinding wheel, and sometimes you can find these at flea markets, yard sales, or whatever. These are actually for a grinding wheel for grinding down metal. Okay, and if it's hard enough to cut steel, it's hard enough to cut a rock. All right. I mean, for years, lapidaries used stone wheels before they had diamonds. Okay, so today we're gonna say you went out and splurged and bought yourself a $15 flat lap. You get this centered. So in this case, we're going to take this stone, and let's take a good look at Mr. Stone here. We've got a semi-flat side on this side. And you can see we got semi-flat. All right, so what we're going to do is, and this technique you're going to get, and you need a spray bottle of destiny. Doesn't have to be pink. So we're going to start by working down a flat side, which is going to be the bottom. Okay, and you can see it's starting to pull up some grout on there. I would say grout, gunk. And, I'm not twerking the heck out of this. I'm just pressing down on it enough. I don't want to hurt my fingers. And you can go like this. This wheel was actually kind of somewhat worn out. Not really, but it was a little more worn than it was due to get replaced, I believe. Okay, and I'm going to do this in real time as much as possible. Alright, as you see, you're making a slurry on there. And you don't have to, like, soak this down to death. Where's the wipey rag? Okay. All the more that I've done, you can see that this side is getting flat. That is actually pretty darn flat already. And like I said, this is a soft stone. So I want to maybe take a little bit more off of this side, maybe flatten it out to give me some bigger stone that way. So I'm just going to hold the stone like this and sort of work on that edge. A little bit more water. Okay, and you've got enough water on there that you're just not raising a dust. Because this isn't going at 1700 RPMs to raise dust or throw slop everywhere. Sort of like when you pull the beaters out of the cake batter and forget to turn the mixer off and it goes everywhere. Yeah, that's the official sound. Okay, as you can see, I started a little bit of angle on there, and I'm going to sort of continue to flatten that out. I actually made a tool to do this with smaller stones. Wait a minute, I think I have it here. I do have my stuff here sometimes. Okay. This is a piece of this on a dowel, and you can see what that does. That holds the stone in place so you're not pushing the crap out of your fingers. Okay. You do not need to have this. I mean, if you have a piece of wood lying around, it can be a square piece, whatever, and put some of this on the end, and it holds the stone. Okay. You can see that bottom is pretty darn flat now. So that's about as flat as we need it to be. Okay, so if you have, let's make this a round stone. Where is my circle template? I have nothing here. We shall move this to the side for a moment. Get the blue marky thing. And let's give ourselves a nice circle. Okay, it's probably going to be this one, because we can always change it. Okay, so I'm going to make a circle around there. That's close enough for the moment. Hello, Template of Destiny. We shall put you back over here. Now let's bring this back. Okay, so I have... These are my guidelines. Okay, and it's dried on there. So now we're going to turn that 90 degrees. And we're going to start working that stone around. And you don't want to stay in one spot and go like that, because it's going to wear the diamonds off. So you can start, in a big circle. But as I'm doing this, I'm taking and slowly turning the stone like that. Okay. So, and you can see here I'm actually I've got a flat edge worn down a little bit onto there. So I'm going to start circling around, and as I go, I'm slowly rotating the stone. And I'm probably going to end up rotating it about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, now you can see I'm getting closer, so I'm going to start with this point right here. And I'm going around, and I'm just slowly moving my hand this direction as I'm going. Okay, and you see you got a lot of slurry building up on that. That ain't going to hurt nothing. Excuse my coughing today. All right, and as you see, I'm getting closer to that our mark. Now what I want to do is keep that flat part that I made 90-degree angle to this flat lap. And you see there, I'm getting very close. Now we got a pointy point of pointiness right there. I'm going to start with that pointy point of pointiness. And like I said, I'm turning the stone this way as I go. And there's no like, I want you to do 15 revolutions and then look at the stone. No, you don't. It's not that technical. I mean, when you do this the first time, you're not going to, pull out the diamond that you've had sitting in the closet for the last 10 years waiting to be cut. You're going to pick up a couple of, junky stones and practice with it. Then you can start getting the feel for how this works. You see, I actually went this way with it because that's more of an advanced technique. But you can sort of see what I'm doing. Okay. All right, now you can see we are getting very, very close to our mark. Okay, there's a big gnarlification right there. Put just a hair more water of destiny on there. To be honest, this is not rocket science. Okay, we're getting actually very close. We've got a big gnarly right here we need to get off, so hold there, 90 degrees to the gnarly. And then a couple zips around. And after a bit, you can start feeling there's, like I say about it, I've said about it in some of the videos, you have tactile resistance where you start feeling where the stone is cutting and where it's not. Tactile feedback. And if you want to go counterclockwise, yeah, go ahead. And if you drop the stone, yeah, go ahead. Okay, we're back. I'm going to put some more smuts on here. And I'm not going to get that exactly perfectly right down to it. But I'm going to start doing some slow passes. And a paper towel works good for this. I just actually ran out of paper towels and I didn't feel like running back into the house to get paper towels. Going to go around this whole thing. And you can start here and go this way if you wish. It is not of importance, whatever feels better for you. Okay, as you can see, I am getting, right here I'm down to my line, actually a little bit farther than I should be. Here I'm right off center of the camera. right about on the edge of it. And as you can see, the whole edge of that around there is starting to look pretty nice. We got about an eighth of an inch or more. That flat, yeah, that flat bottom. That bottom is not perfectly flat, but it does not matter. It does not matter right now. So whichever way you do it, if you go this way or this way, that's up to you. Whatever feels more comfortable, or switch it back and forth. Okay, I think right there that's about pretty good. Yep. So for the next stage of this, we need to put this on a stick. Okay, now you don't need expensive DOP sticks. This dun 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 dun. This is the first stick that I ever did a stone with, because I didn't have a dowel rod. So I went out and I found a stick and I used it, and I still use this occasionally. Unfortunately, this stick is a little bit big for this stone, so I won't use it. And you do not need to have expensive dopping wax either. What you need to have... Seriously, folks? Can't find this. Yeah, that's a little bit thin. I want... Oh, come on, really? Okay, this is the size I needed. Yeah, that'll work. Yep. That's pretty darn good. Okay, let's get this out of the way. We shall put the flat lap of destiny out of the way. Now, I was saying you don't need dopping wax to do this. You don't need dopping wax. I'm going to use dopping wax because I have it here. And, wait a minute. Something like this will work perfectly well. 2-part epoxy. Okay. 2-part epoxy, or even super glue. Super glue works well. And I've tried it, but I hadn't had a lot of luck with it. Hot glue works pretty good too. But I've personally never had any luck with hot glue. Okay. I know people that use hot glue and it works well for them. I just did not ever have any luck with hot glue. I mean, that was a lesson in aggravation when I used hot glue. Okay, let's get this here thing dopped. If you have dopping wax, you know, like if you're going to do some stones, dopping wax isn't that expensive. And once you do it a little bit and get it figured out, it's not as difficult as what I sometimes make it out to be. Oh, there's not enough wax on there. I'm seeing the stick. Let me put a little bit more wax on that. There we go. Wax disappeared. Now, whatever you use, wax, ouch, you know, wax or glue, whatever, when you're doing it like this, you have that flat bottom. So you want to make sure that that is perpendicular to your stick. Okay, see how that's crooked? No, you want that a 90-degree angle to your stick, and if you're doing a circular piece, you want it in the dead center. If you're doing it with glue, sometimes you have to fiddle around a little bit. But if you are a little off, it's, you know, not the end of the world. Okay, get some of this wax off of here so I can see this better. Okay, I'm looking at that, and that seems to be pretty much in the center. Pretty much in the center. Pretty much in the center, and pretty much 90 degree to the stick, which is good, which is what we want. Oh, we shall put all of this stuff back. And we shall pull out our flat lap of destiny again. Now, what we need to do is we pretty much have this nice and square around the edge. All right, so we're going to hold this stone perpendicular would be 90 degrees. Okay, so let me get another lap. Here's a. Okay, we're like this. We're going to hold that 90 degrees to the lap. Okay, so that'll give you a straight edge. You want to tilt that. You want to tilt that up. Oh, I don't know, good 45 degrees. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put an edge, and you're not pushing hard. You're going to go around about a 45 degree angle. Okay, and okay, as I'm doing this, I'm taking this stone and I'm turning it like this in my hand. Okay, can you see that? I'm doing a couple of movements. Whenever you do this, you will feel there's going to be a lot of resistance, and then it'll start getting easier to move. That's because the diamonds have cut the stone into a smoother section. Okay, so when you start feeling it get no resistance, you can feel that smoothness. That's when you turn that stick a little bit. Okay, and as you see, let me get the zoom of zoominess here going. We have created a slight angle. You can see it over here. We've created a slight angle around the girdle of that stone. Man, sorry about that cough. Okay, so I'm going to continue doing this. You know, and don't stay right in the center of the wrap. Move out to the outer edge. Move in a little bit, but keep adjusting and turning, I should say, and moving around your lap. Sometimes you get in closer to the middle, it's like kind of hard to get that real tight circle. So try to keep about that 45 degree angle. This is how I do it. Okay, as you can see, that angle is getting 45. Oh, no, now you can't see it if I don't put it on the screen. Okay. I'll have to stand up to do this. I am so sorry. Okay, let me make sure we're not... Oh, yeah, no wonder you're having trouble. Zoomed in. Sorry about that. All right, now I got a little bit of an angle going on there, and I want to come maybe halfway down the girdle. So I'm going to be here a little bit, holding that at approximately that 45-degree angle, and don't be over here with like a speed square trying to check the angle. You know, it's not that critical. We are just trying to get this nice little angle going, and I am slowly rotating that stone. And it is getting more of an angle there. Okay, what I'm going to do now is we got this big gnarly top right there. I'm going to get rid of some of that. Okay, because we don't need that. We know we're not going to need it. We've got to get down to more or less the lowest point, which is right in here. A little bit more schmutz on there. And when I do this, I'm turning the stone like that. Okay, because I don't want it to... Always keep it moving. If you do that and you're just holding it steady, you're going to be cutting over the same diamonds, and it may not be as efficient. Basically, you're doing the same thing you did on the bottom. Okay, see that's starting to get down to where the divot is there. We're going to get right down to that low point. As you can see, there is no dust. There is no slop flying everywhere. There is just slurry laying on your diamond lap. Okay, we're getting close. Alrighty, let's take a look at what we've got so far going. You see them down almost to where that divot's at. So we could take it down a little bit more, which I think I'm going to do. And like I said, I'm not pressing hard on this, okay? I'm just a little bit more than the weight of my hand pressure on this diamond lap. But I check it every so often too. And I am looking 90 degrees at this thing. So you'll be looking 90 degrees at it like that. For me to see it, my head's over here, so I'm this way. You can see we're just about down to that divot. Okay, what I'm going to do now, since we're just about down to that, a little bit more schmutz on there. Instead of about 45, I'm going to go about 60. So here was 90. Let me see. Yeah, 90. About 45. I'm going to go about 60. And again, I'm going to be turning that like that as I go. Here you might get some skips. You may want to reverse this direction. It's sort of putting a You can hear that it skips sometimes. Getting a little bit of catching on the diamonds. But once you get all that angle worn down, you're not going to catch it as much. Now, as you can see, there is some splatter going on right here. This white here on the, you can't see it there. Maybe you can. There's a tiny bit of splatter coming out. Okay, and you can see we're starting to get a bit of a dome on there. Okay, now there's a bit of a ridge right here between the 45 and the 60. I'm going to go a little bit less than 45 and put it right on that ridge. What we're doing is we're making like facets around the stone. Ring facets. Ringed at different angles. You know, sort of doming it up to the top. And I recommend not using a rag. Use a paper towel, because then you can chuck those. The rags, you get all this gunk on here, and then it gets into your pipes, and this gunk will settle. Yeah, don't wash this off in the sink. Okay, don't do that, because this dust will settle in all the traps and all the pipes that you have, and after a while it'll clog it up. Not that you'll probably be doing a bazillion of these, but it's just a tiny issue you don't want to get even started with. So, you know, hose them out outside. Okay, you can see that starting to dome. You're starting to get that dome looking effect going. Okay, and we do have like a ridge right here. You see we got the girdle. We got the 45, we got about a 60 degree. So we're going to even put that on a steeper angle, since this is starting to come together, which is about, let's see, where's 90? There it is. You know, we got the 45, about 60. We're going to go about like this. And again, with turning it. And you don't want to be pressing hard while you're doing this one either, because we're getting towards the top of that stone. And I am just gently turning this in my fingers as I go. Don't panic that, oh my gosh, I'm wavering a little bit in my angle. No, don't worry about that. We'll take care of that later. This is just roughing the stone in. I'm not using very much pressure at all. You know. Okay, now we're going to zoom in. That's all the longer that took. Like I said, this stone is kind of soft. But look here. We're almost at a pretty decent dome. And there's no mechanical parts. Okay, I think we're done with the flat lap for now. So, flat lap of destiny, thank you for your service. We shall put you over here and call upon you when needed again. Now, this is where we get into the sandpaper. Okay. Now, I have some sandpaper over here, and it's probably pretty gnarly looking. Yeah, it is probably a little gnarly looking. Okay. Now, if you have access to a Harbor Freight, it's like, oh no, don't tell me you're doing stuff from Harbor Freight. Yes, I am doing stuff from Harbor Freight. This is completely covered in goop. Oh! Okay. This is from Harbor Freight. This is 500 grit silicon carbide wet dry sandpaper. Okay? You can do anything with this stuff. I can do quartz with this stuff. Okay? And quartz is pretty high up on the scale. So, wet dry silicon carbide sandpaper. 500 grit. Or equivalent, you know. So I'm going to break out a new piece here. And of course, it's not laying flat. How dare it lay flat for a video? Okay, it's going to be close enough. Okay, now you can do this dry, but why? Okay. Now, you don't need to go all over the whole piece of sandpaper for this, all right? I usually work, and I just put a little bit of spritzy spritz on there. Okay, we're going to work this girdle first. So I'm going to hold that 90 degrees, and I'm not going to be pressing really hard. Sort of an oval shape motion. Make sure that we're not zoomed in. Nope. And I'm going to be turning it. Okay. As you can see, it's starting to leave a slurry on there. So that means that you're cutting the stone. Amazing, isn't it? This is actually the part I really like the best when we get to here. So I've gone about maybe 2 revolutions around there. And honestly, you can see that it's starting to... Okay, I'm trying to focus it. Where are you? There you go. Okay, it's starting to get a little bit of a polish. This is more like the polish shaping stage. Okay. This is shaping, but somewhat polishing. So I'm still holding that 90 degrees. Now, I'm going to take and tilt that up from 90 degrees to just a slight angle over 90 degrees. Okay, now I've gotten the edge of it, and I'm still turning and rotating. I've gotten the edge of it, but I'm going to put a slight bevel on that as a setting edge, as one would say. It's going to be very slight. Okay, you should be able to see there is a slight setting edge on there. Okay. All right, I've got my slight setting edge. Hold on a second. Let me start that over. All right. A little more spritz. All right, I've got that slight setting edge on there. I'm going to start working this edge off of the stone right here. So I am doing a little circular motion, and I'm not pressing hard again. Okay, we don't need to press hard. As you can see, this carbide sandpaper is really tearing this stuff up. Okay, you can see it's starting to wear that edge off. Now, this is where a different technique comes into play. I got that little bit of an edge off. I'm going to start working. Let me see if I can explain it. 90 degrees, boom. I'm going to start here at that slight angle, slight over 90, and as I go, I'm going to twist it, and I'm going to move it up like this. So slowly moving this way, and slowly turning. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to be turning it, turning it, turning it, and my hand is slowly coming up to almost perpendicular 90 degrees. Oh, what? 100? Yeah. Just straight up and down. You can see I am like almost straight up and down now. And that was just a few passes around, and you can see we are already getting a dome. See how easy peasy this is? Okay, so I'm going to just continue doing that several times. Starting there, working my way up to about, well, 90 degrees this way and then 90 degrees that way, you know? And you may feel like, well, I get outside this area and I can really feel it gripping, and here I can't really feel it gripping. Maybe the sandpaper's all gone. Well, no, it's not all gone. You've taken some of it off, but it is still cutting. Trust me, it is still cutting away. Now, right now I am almost at 90 degrees to the surface. And I'm going like this. Whoop. Going this way as I'm spinning the thing this way. Now don't be overwhelmed like, what in the world, all these angles and crap. It's like, yeah, you do this once or twice and you're going to go, oh, I know exactly what he means. Because as I'm doing this, like right now, as I'm doing this, I can feel if I hit a place where the sandpaper is really grabbing the stone, and it's like, yes, there's a facet there. That's why it's grabbing, because there's a facet there. So I need to work that facet out. So I'm going to go like this with this stone. I'm going to be like here. I'm going to go up and down as I spin. All right, you following that? I can go up and back down as I'm spinning the stone around almost to 90 degrees perpendicular to the thing, and then almost 90 degrees perpendicular up. And as you're going, you will feel when it starts to grab it a little bit differently. And you can change directions. I mean, you can go clockwise, counterclockwise, it doesn't matter. Okay, sometimes when I get to this point, you gotta hold the stone differently and just do that swirly whirly motion like that. Alright. This video might be long, but I want to do it in real time so that everybody can see that it's not a horrible process. Now look at that. That is a fairly even dome, whole way up to the top. Now there's a gnarly in this stone right there. I'm not going to worry about that right now. This is just for demonstration, okay? Now what you could do is continue doing this till you get rid of that gnarly. You know what? I might do that. Let me just see how long that takes to get rid of that gnarly. I'm going to do this at my speed, all right? And I'm going to add a little bit more pressure to it. Okay, you can see that part of that gnarly's coming out. I'm not going to just stay there on that gnarly itself, because then I'll have a facet in the stone, and then I'll have to, you know, maybe work harder to get it out. So if I continue just working the entire thing down, then it works evenly. Okay, dry off. Okay, you can see that gnarly is coming out. And pretty much kept that same shape of the dome. The top may be a little flat. I'm going to work that a little bit. You know, don't be afraid to put little spritzy smits on there. Now what I'm going to start doing now, make sure that top is flat, so I'm going to do this motion. So it's like that. So it's like I'm working and pushing a little harder, because this stuff here, that's why you get this thicker padding. This padding gives. So this gives and takes on a curved shape as you are trying to get that nice curve to the dome. Okay, look at that. That little tiny bit of a flat spot is gone. So now I'm going to take this off of there for a second, and I'm just going to do a quick run off the side on a hard surface. Just a hair over 90 degrees to make that setting edge not 90 degrees. You know, we're going to bevel it in just a little bit. Don't have to do a whole lot, especially with this soft stone like that. Now, if you're doing it just like to wrap, you don't need to do that. Okay, it's hard to see, but that setting edge is not showing up right. There we go. That looks pretty darn good. There's a slight bevel on that setting edge, like seems like the whole way around. Okay, now we can get rid of this sandpaper. And we can get to the 1000 grit sandpaper. Now I don't think I have any 1000 grit that's clean. So what we're going to do, since this silicon carbide sandpaper, the pieces will flick off of it pretty easy. You have to clean your stone. Okay, when you went from the diamond to here, you don't have to worry about that too much. When you went from the 500 grit to this, you don't want that 500 grit on here because this is going to be polishing better than the 5. So you're going to take your spray bottle of Destiny or take it to a sink and clean that stone off with a toothbrush really well. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. The stone is clean. We are unzoomed in. Now I'm going to use this used piece of... well, maybe I won't. Let me get another piece of sandpaper. Look at that. We happen to have a 1000 grit piece laying over there. Now, this is why I said about using paper towels, because if you keep wiping your stone into the 500 grit that you used there, you're going to contaminate it with 500 grit, and then you're going to get gnarlies and scratches. Now, let me see what I have here. Okay, I have there's a paper towel that I was using on cerium oxide, and it won't matter if there's some cerium oxide on there. Okay, now, basically, with the 1000 grit, you're not taking facets out anymore. You are polishing. It'll take you a long time to facet with the 1000 grit. So you're going to continually move this thing. Continually move it, and not much pressure at all, because you already have it rounded. Okay, now you're polishing. So I'm taking that angle of that girdle, and then I'm just going to go straight into the up like this and twirly twirly. Because you have it already domed. You saw that dome was nice. I'm going to go right up to 90 degrees straight up and down, and then back down. You can see there's a lot of slurry coming off because this stone is soft. Some of the stones won't even hardly put a slurry out at all, but you're not going to get much of a slurry. Get that top. And sometimes this stage doesn't take long at all. I mean, this is like 3-4 minutes. And like I said, I'm twisting it, and going up and down. Whoopie-doo, whoopie-doo. And once this starts like gliding across the sandpaper, you can figure that you're pretty much polished as much as it's going to polish. Okay, let's zoom this in a little bit. Okay, you can see it's starting to shine already. And we haven't redone that dome at all because it's already been established with the 500 and the diamonds. So to be honest, that stone is... Well, look at that. Look how much shine we have on there already. Okay, and you can see there is some undercutting. Okay, and where the light is shining on there, you see like tiny little pits in that dark green. That's called undercutting. You have different hardnesses of material in that stone, and some will wear away faster than the others will, and that gives you little pits. Pit. Okay, so I'm just going to go over this one more time. And I'm doing that circular thing. As you notice, look, all the more, this stone, I use that much of the sandpaper, and I can probably use that again. Okay, when I did seashells with just sandpaper, I could get 6 or 8 out of one piece of sandpaper like this. And with the 1000 grit, I could get even more because I wasn't, hogging down on it so bad. I've used this method for quartz, carnelian, the seashells. You can do this with any type of stone. And you see what we're getting? That gnarly piece of stuff there we probably could have got that out. It was really, really thin. So let's just zoom it in a little bit. But even with the 1000 grit, that's pretty darn nice. And I'd say that this piece is ready for the final polish. Now, when you go to the final polish, and I recommend Cerium Oxide for this. Cerium Oxide is not expensive. It's like, here. This is another product you can get on Amazon. This is where I got mine from. I can't remember how much an 8-ounce thing of this costs, but I've been using this for years. Literally, years. Okay? And it's less than 20 bucks for this. But trust me, it's going to last a while. You're not going to use up a lot of it. All right, let's set this off to the side. And I don't know where my leather pad is. Hold on. Okay. Make sure everything's good here. Couldn't find my leather pad, so I just grabbed another piece of leather. All right, and this is a Cerium Oxide rag. Had a few of those laying around. Okay, this is pretty simple. You know what? Maybe I should get something. Nah, we're good. This is not rocket science, all right? You make this a little wet. And this is a leather pad. If you want to, you can use a piece of felt. Okay? And put, okay, a little bit of Cerium Oxide on there. This is one little stone. We don't need a buttload of it. That's probably more than we'd even need. Okay? Now, there is no scientific way to do this. I am going to cover all of the stone with this Cerium Oxide. Okay, I'm going to rub that all. Probably keep adding water because the leather's going to soak it up. Okay, that Cerium Oxide is going to be held by the suede part of that leather, and I'm going to continually just keep rubbing that stone across the Cerium Oxide. And I can use that same method I did before, turning, going up and down like this. That's basically all there is to it. And the top, because this is not cutting away at the stone. This is polishing it. This is like 1.2 microns or something like that. So we're not talking like a lot of cutting. If you had this on like a power wheel and you let it sit there held it up against it for like a minute, you might start to get a flat spot. A little facet. But it would take a lot of cutting to get that facet in there. And make sure you get the edge really nice. I'm just going in that long oval circular thing going. And going up the side now, up to the top, and back down as I'm turning. Getting the very top of it. Okay, so let's take a gander at what this thing's starting to look like now. Okay, and as you can see, that is polishing up tremendously well. And I take that light across there, and you can see there are no facets. That light goes pretty much smoothly across that. Even around the edge, you've got nice bright, facetless top. Now, if this was quartz or something, you may have to do a little bit longer than what I just did here. But we're not, like I said, it's not a horrible process doing it by hand. I did hundreds of like seashells like this that way. And I know hundreds of stones this way before I got the mechanical equipment that I made. And to be honest, I can get a better polish this way than I can with that cabbing machine, which kind of aggravates me. Aggravates me in a big way. But then, like, a home-cooked meal is better than something you get at a restaurant any day of the week, or definitely better than a TV dinner. Okay, so okay, you see that? That is basically your finished stone. And it was not horribly tiresome to do. And you don't have to have power tools to do it. Okay, let me just clean up some of this gunk here. Thank you, leather strap. All right, then let me see if I can get this off. Usually, if it's a small stone, you get right along the edge with a knife, and oh yeah, it come off pretty easy there. Okay, if you're using glue, you're gonna have a little bit more trouble taking that off. You may have to take a knife and roll it like this on the wood part of the dopstick and actually cut that off, and then scrape the glue, or the glue and little bit of the dopstick off. Or you can try putting it in the freezer too. If you put this in the freezer, that stuff comes off so much easier. Okay, I'm pulling out the flat lappiness here. And where's the clean this off a little bit. Ugh. Okay, what I'm going to do now is put this back on here, and I don't want to get too much stuff on the top. Sometimes you can use this. Sometimes, actually, because it's polished, it's smooth now. So I'm going to take this across the flat lap and get that gunk off of the back of the stone and get any. Ooh, you don't want to bugger it up like that. Okay, I got most of the stuff off. There, you can see we're almost there. I'm got to get it in the. There we go. Sorry about that. Zoomed in. You can see some of our line is still on there yet. So I'm just going to cut just a little bit more of that back off just to even it up. And then you can take like the 500 grit sandpaper and lay it on a hard surface, give it a couple little swirlies, and then the 1000 grit, and that'll smooth up the back for you. But essentially, this stone is done. And I tell you what, we didn't use any power tools. We didn't take forever. And you too will be able to say this stone is a win. So I hope you learned something from the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you know now that you don't need fancy equipment. You just need some sandpaper, you know, a flat lap, or you can do exactly with a flat lap like you did with this as you did with the flat lap. Okay? Oh, and just don't break the place apart. So, hey, thanks for spending some time with me, and have a good evening.